Blood Money, episode 66, with Dr. Scott Miller. Following the righteous path, even when faced with evil and destruction. All right, so we're on the latest episode of Blood Money, and this episode is actually doubling it up for another series that we're producing, and by that I mean America Happens and Studio 17, and my partners Travis and Andrea, Aisha, Mindy, all of us. We're producing a new show called Meet the Frontline Doctors, where we get to meet, honor, and get to know all the frontline doctors that basically put their careers on the line and stood up against the medical tyranny when it was the hardest to do so. And essentially what we're doing is we're going to combine this show because we have the wonderful Scott Miller here, and I don't want to have him say his story twice for the Blood Money series as well as Meet the Frontline Doctor. So we're going to double up this show for both purposes. We're going to use this for both Blood Money and Meet the Frontline Doctors. Scott, how's your day going today?
It's good. I mean, it's as I was saying, I just got back from San Antonio. It was a group, the former feds for the COVID widowers group for justice, and I think there's another group, but they all came together for the Stop the Hospital Homicide rally, and wow. It was intense. It was amazing. Very emotionally. It was hard. Wow. I was asked to speak at that, and right after that, I ended up doing my second half of a forensic psychiatric evaluation with a psychiatrist out of Oklahoma. And so, yeah, today I got up and got an email that said, we need more documentation. So if I could tell the viewer about what was going on, because you told me the story before we started recording. So Scott, is because he stood on the front lines, because he stood for the truth, and really want to save lives. They didn't go along with the whole, death camps or whatever, death camps, hospital death camps. I don't know what you call it, but the idea of killing people with remdesivir, he wasn't cool with that. And for not going along with the agenda, I mean, he's been put through hell, and he was telling me about how he was applying for an Oklahoma medical license to be able to practice there. So that's what we're, just catching the viewer up to what we're talking about. So you apply to that license, and they're having you go through a bunch of, tests to make sure that you're not crazy, because all these folks have basically put complaints about you and tried to make it look like you're crazy or something. Well, I have
a feeling you're about to put up a big file. Yep.
These are complaints, right? So when I had John Davidson out of California reached out to me a couple months ago because, Dr. Cole has 4 complaints. Meryl Naz out of Maine had 3. Dr. Bartlett had like a couple complaints. Peter McAuliffe a couple. And I'm wondering, how do I have over 100?
So these are complaints basically saying bad things about you, of why you shouldn't practice, why you shouldn't have a license?
Yeah, like there was a Substack of 15 complaints that came in at one time, and all of them, there's a local group here called the Camas Facebook Progressive Group, and it was like a group of people got together and copied and pasted. We read the article in the Camas Post Record about Scott Miller, and I had spoken at a school board meeting, and I did call out the school board members and saying they're either ignorant or pure evil, and that there are treatments. And an article ran: local, pediatric PA calls school board pure evil and claims to cure COVID. And
so wait, because you said, I mean, and I've heard, we've interviewed Dr. Peter McCullough, a lot of doctors, actually. I mean, we've interviewed some of the top doctors between this Blood Money show and some of the other content we produce. And what we heard from them is conclusive evidence that things like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine should have been used. They weren't used because they're cheap. They're in the generic, and they wanted to sell these expensive vaccines. And lo and behold, these expensive vaccines really don't do anything but most most likely cause a lot more damage, lead to early death. In fact, I've had multiple doctors tell me that it's almost a surefire thing that eventually these vaccines will affect you in a negative way, whether it's illness or early death. And so because you didn't go along with that protocol, that's why you've had all these complaints against you.
Yes, but even before the shots came out, I mean, and so I treated, I unbeknownst to me, like in end of January, February of 2020, I had a pediatric practice, but I'd have parents coming in, bringing their kids in, and they're on, the end of week 2 of the worst cough they've ever had. They can't get a full breath. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And so I would listen to their lungs. I'm like, Judas Priest, like, you sound terrible. And I would ask, like, hey, do you want to like do a treatment? So I remember I'd do an albuterol treatment, like a rescue nebulizer, and it didn't touch them at all. And I'm like, what the heck? So I had budesonide. So I would do a round of budesonide, and I'm, doing an exam on their, a child. And I remember, like, specifically there's a couple days, like, successfully, where there was a, like the dad, like a couple minutes into nebbing the budesonide, and he takes his mask off and he's like, wow, I feel like I can actually get a full breath.
And these are people affected by other ailments, or is this COVID?
It was COVID. Because I remembered it so specifically because we made them a patient. I prescribed montelukast and a couple other things. And like a day or two later, they would call back and they're like, my symptoms are gone. That's wild. So later on, it was like April or May, I ended up calling them, like the people that I had treated, and we did the antibody tests, and they had antibodies for COVID. And so I was like, holy crap, and who knows? I trust very little these days. It's coming out from like whether it's, well, I don't trust the PCR test at all, but and so when the country shut down, obviously, I mean, it was very concerning because I'm going to be going into my practice every day, and I want to know what the hell's going on. And so I just started studying and found, in fact, I have it's been saved on my desktop. It was an article out of Italy. It was March 14th of 2020, and I found it on March 15th, and it was basically like the blueprint of the bioweapon. And it was, and I didn't know what furin cleavage sites were. So I started reading, and I spent the next 6 months studying it. But within that, it was basically the pathogenicity of how it affects us. My wife was a nurse, and I had to hit translate on it because it was in Italian, and I'm reading through it, and she looks at it and she's like, well, and I'm explaining some of the stuff, and she's like, well, can't you like reverse engineer it and just like knock out the inflammatory mechanisms? And I was like, well, I mean, theoretically, sure. And then there was a MedCram, Dr. Schwelt out of Southern California did a MedCram on ivermectin, and the in vitro studies in Australia in like April 3rd or 4th of 2020. I'm like, holy crap, that's, it knocks out viral replication by, 5,000 fold within 48 hours. Like that's a safe, effective med that I've used in the peds population for, 14 to 13 years. Like that seems like a no-brainer. And I had my first suspected COVID patient on April 9th. It was a mom that came in, and I prescribed it to her along with like vitamin D, C, and she called the next day and she said, my symptoms are gone. I'm like, hold on, like the sucky, like the bad, or like, she's like, they're all gone. Like, I don't have any symptoms. I'm like, no, pardon me. I'm like, no shit. That's crazy. And I was the only clinic that didn't close here in at least in Southwest Washington. And I was kind of going against the narrative anyway. So I was like, I need to make sure this, that's an anecdote of one. And so I just started writing down on every family that came in, on on their, when they'd leave, we'd have the sheets. So I'd write this, and I'd write out like vitamin D, vitamin C, melatonin, etc. And I was like, share this with everyone you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that. In fact, I finally just made up printed it off, and I'd hand it to them. I'm like, share, share, share. Like, and don't take my word for it. And I'd write down Google melatonin and COVID, where they would realize, holy cow, it's the most potent immunomodulator that we have for our innate immune system, which is one of the reasons.
Wait, so you said melatonin?
Oh yeah, melatonin is it's so powerful and
wow,
in boosting our innate immune system. I had people nebulize it. I don't recommend that as
what does that mean exactly? Nebulize it.
I use the liquid form and put it. You have a nebulizer machine, like so with budesonide, you put it in a nebulizer machine. Mouthpiece, mask on. It aerosolizes it.
Oh, and you breathe it in.
Breathe it in.
Got you. Okay. All right. So, I mean, it sounds like you're discovering some things that were pretty much in line with your oath to help people, to save people, to, make sure that they get better.
Well, to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like to say, pick anything and just say there's nothing we can do to that's nonsensical.
Yeah. And I mean, pediatrician too, you're dealing with children, and you had the option of pushing this vax onto children, which could have probably led to death. If you want to look at it theoretically, if you did it knowingly, that would be manslaughter, and you decided not to do that.
Well, again, looking at all the RSV, they tried to get a vaccine for RSV. They tried to get, for a number of other for coronaviruses. And when you looked at the ferret studies, when they were introduced to the wild type virus, they all died or became severely ill. And are you kidding?
Let me ask you, sorry to interrupt you, but how do doctors, I mean, you've been a doctor, how do doctors, knowing that in trials, this thing kills animals, hence most likely is going to cause damage to humans, how do doctors go along with that, knowing that information?
The only way you're going to know that information is to seek it out, right? It's not like you Google it. I mean, I spent months. I would come home from work, hang out with the family, get the kids to bed, and I would, from 9 until 2 or 3 in the morning, I was studying every night. And my wife's like, why are you doing this if the virus doesn't affect kids? I'm like, well, kids have parents, right? And I don't like unknowns. I don't like being vexed by something that if there's some way that we can do something to help people, it's like, you better freaking do it. But from a medical standpoint, my knowledge on just vaccines in general was a vaccine rep would come into my office, and they'd open up their computer and show data on efficacy of, Pentosil or Prevnar or whatever. And we're like, okay, yeah, we'll order, 1,000 of those. I didn't pull out the insert and see what kind of adjuvants are you using in this?
I mean, they've gotten the doctors used to that sort of thing. This is something I've been hearing for 30, 40 years of. That's how a lot of doctors are exposed to medicine. It's really through a pharma rep. Hence, it could be extremely biased.
Well, there's no other. I mean, how can there not be bias when somebody's coming in and they're selling you goods and then telling you how good it is, and they bring you lunch? Yeah. And most of the time, when I was in previous for quitting and starting my own practice, I'd be in a group, and you'd have, the providers would come in over lunch. They would have their medical assistant or a nurse sit in there while they got their lunch and went back to their office. So they weren't even listening. It's just you pick whatever. And so we didn't even, I would sit just to be courteous and listen to them, but we didn't study shit. We just went along with it.
Wow. I mean, that just seems like bad practice. It seems like doctors have been used to real bad habits, to be honest with you. I mean, it's almost like how could we have avoided this calamity? I mean, it seems like you have in many ways in terms of actual involvement in the disaster, but I could see how other doctors were kind of, tricked into it because we've become accustomed to just listening to what they tell us.
Well, so yes, and then when you have from top leadership down, not just the governors, but when you get into our county health departments and the hospitals, which is fascinating, where we had Dr. Alan Melnick here in Clark County. Guy is, I mean, he's a functional retard when it to, like, so he's either that or just evil, and he's been bought off, and it's probably both. But the hospitals are using.
When you say Clark County, by the way, which Clark County are you referring to?
Washington State.
Oh, Washington. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, this was like Washington was kind of ground zero. And we had the first, it was in the Seattle area. But what we witnessed here, the devastation of the policies, I mean, it happened everywhere, but to see it in my community, and after I had done a couple interviews where word got out and our phone just started, I mean, just like fall of 2020. And I would talk to, I talked to thousands of people, and the story was the same with every one of them. We called our doctor, we called our primary care, and they said, there's nothing to do, just, hunker down and take Tylenol. Or they went to the hospital and they said, you're not sick enough to need treatment, go home. And I think that's freaking evil.
And so evil. So you're, at this point, I'm just kind of going to backtrack a little bit because I want to hear your story, your journey. So April 2020, it seems like you start discovering that there's protocols, there's alternative ways, that the narrative is not necessarily the correct narrative, that, vax could potentially be harmful. Now, take us from that point onward of what happens in your story.
I'd go to work, and the schools have been shut down. A large part of my patient base were special needs kids, autism, etc. And so all of their their speech and occupational therapy and physical therapy, it said, like, all of their services were just instantly gone. So every day I was hearing, it was just a horror story of these kids being, so they're doing online school. They're just up in their room, or for a lot of the kids, a parent had to quit work and stay home with them. And it was something I couldn't fix. I couldn't undo it. And I was getting angry about it. And I was sharing that with a lot of parents, and there ended up being a rally in Olympia at the Capitol in May, and a group reached out to me and asked if I would speak out on medical freedom, which, my wife and I had a very long conversation about that the night before, and some of my colleagues were like, dude, like, don't do it. Like, they're like, this, they will crush you. And I'm like,
I mean, it's so disappointing to hear that. The cowardice is so disappointing. I mean, these people, don't they understand their children's lives are on the line? I mean, literally, this is like a road to murder of children, and they're okay with that so they could save their own skin? I mean, I don't understand.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, if you go back to that time where everything that you heard, read, saw on the TV, the death ticker, it was, I called it a virus of the media, right? Yeah. It's like the media is, and in fact, I did an article for a write-up for our, the Columbian, and I basically said I could make, if I had the backing of the media, I could make every parent afraid, like terrified to kiss their child, or a child to kiss their parent, like that, just by putting out information on like HSV, herpes. Like if we look at the statistics data, and until until we come up with a vaccine for herpes and like some pills for it, like we can no longer kiss our children, etc. Like I'm positive that with the support of the media, we could have done that.
100%.
Like we watch people like.
But you found a path to the truth. That's the interesting part, because it seems like at this moment you're faced with a dilemma of actually standing up and saying the truth, and the media saying what they're saying, but nonetheless it seems like the truth in that moment, and you have a dilemma. Do I speak out about it? Do I allow myself to be attacked? I mean, what's the choice you made in that moment?
I had met with a group of friends. Shelly and I had a long conversation, and I went out back and paced around, and I was praying about it. Because I mean, like it takes a while to build a practice, and like the loans you have to take out. And we were viable. Like Shelly didn't have to look at the bank account to get groceries, and she's like, "Why are you willing to like possibly throw this away?" And I'm like, I'm not willing to throw it away. It's like, the parable of the talents. And it's like, what do you do with the talents that God has given you? And it's like, you can bury it and just protect the talent, or you can multiply it. And I prayed about it, and I had been burning the candle on both ends. And I was like, all right, Lord, I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. and driving to Olympia. So if you want me to go, then somebody can take me. And at 5:15 the next morning, repeated knock on my door, and I got up, and there's 2 women there that said, "Hey, we heard you needed a ride to Olympia." And I'm just like, oh shit. I'm like, yep. And got dressed and hopped in her minivan, and they drove. Yeah. And so I was like, I'm like, all right, it's like, there's no, with something like this, there isn't lukewarm. It's an all or none thing. You don't sort of tell the truth. You don't sort of spread it. You just, I looked at it. I don't like saying like where that night I was bargaining with God. I'm like, like where I was like, I wanted an out. And, it's kind of like we chat very frequently. I'm like, if this is where you're leading me, like, it sounds totally just almost sacrilegious to say it, but it's like, you better back me up. And in spades, like it was like living in biblical times, being like, it's the most incredible, like when people like, we feel so bad for you. I'm like, you know what? I've been on what I consider like the spiritual journey that I've been able to experience, watching God move impossible pieces.
The tapestry of God. The tapestry of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing to experience it like that. It was just just an honor.
Yeah. Much bigger than money, right? Much bigger than, much bigger than approval of people, isn't it? Like just knowing that you're on that path. But what happens to you in the physical world here? What happens to you in this ugly, evil world when you decide to make that choice?
Yeah, I mean, the hellfire and brimstone rain down. I mean, in all honesty, I should have been shut down by September of 2020. Like the fact that I made it to October of 21 is another testament to, like, because we had like prayer warriors, people saying we're praying protection over your clinic, over your staff, over your family. Because we had death threats, and somebody had shot a hole through our window, and
wow. Wow, just because you're trying to help people. I mean,
Well,
who are these people?
they didn't see it that way though, right? Like when
But
everything that's
sorry to interrupt you. Is it the mainstream media message, how they're trying to make you seem like a monster? That's the reason why essentially you're having these hate groups, hate individuals come after you.
yeah,
Kind of like,
yeah,
I mean, today, and I don't know when we're airing this episode, but today there was a transgender individual that walked into a Christian school and murdered 3 9-year-old Christians and 3 teachers, and it was 100% because of the hate in the mainstream media about how, I guess Christians hate transgender or whatever, these lies. I mean, it's again the mainstream media. The mainstream media is a tool for murder, for suffering, for hatred, and they put all those messages out about you, and that resulted in your clinic getting shot at and other acts of violence and threats.
yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't because they were saying good.
Yeah. No, I know. I just want the viewer. I wanted to really focus in on this because, the viewer might think this stuff's happening in a vacuum, but it's really important to see the cause and effect. And when you have a mainstream media that's literally a tool for hatred, no different than like how Joseph Goebbels of the Nazi regime used the mainstream media as a tool for hatred towards gypsies, outsiders, Jews, whatever, the undesirables, right? And that's how the mainstream media today is being used. A Nazi tool, no different than Adolf Hitler, no different than what he professed in the book Mein Kampf.
Except
mind blowing. It's mind blowing.
They would be Goebbels. They would look at what the media was able to do and covet. They would be like, "Wow, this is." They would look at this as like the most beautiful thing they've ever seen. To get
this is their dream come true.
Line up in their cars, just line up at vaccine centers.
To walk into gas chambers, by the way, they're gas chambers. Yes, it's not going to be instantaneous, but you are walking into death. That's it. It's like whether it happens today, whether it happens 5 years from now, because you got myocarditis while playing soccer, it's going to happen.
Well, so I do want to comment on that because, when you look at the data, so it's like myocarditis and it's like, it's not treatable. Yeah, it is. Just like fibrotic lung disease, it's treatable, right? It literally is. It's just, there isn't a pharmaceutical medication for it. But I'll tell you, I've had people with long haulers or vaccine injury that have had like cardiac issues, etc. I don't diagnose and I can't treat, but I can. I've done a bunch of integrative health practitioner certifications, so I can, like guide people. They can take my license, they can't take the accumulated knowledge.
Exactly.
And so I can guide them, and I've seen some of the outcomes I've seen for people that have been suffering are nothing short of miraculous. So without doing something, right, and cardiologist is useless, because if they don't think that the inoculation caused it, there's no possible way that they can help you.
Yeah.
You're screwed.
Yeah.
But there's help. I mean, there's hope. It's just like the level of effery that they've used to insert it into our DNA. Well, not mine, but I mean, it's diabolical.
It's insane. And rather than talking about all those details, because we could go into that evil plan, I mean, I encourage viewers to watch so many Blood Money episodes that we have. I mean, we interviewed Thomas Renz, who has been on the forefront as an attorney. We've interviewed Dr. Peter McCullough. We're actually interviewing Dr. Peter McCullough again. So we're not going to get into the details of how evil of a plan this is. Just watch some of the old Blood Money episodes with doctors and lawyers that talk about this, and you will find out. Let's talk about what happened to you, though. So you're telling me that October 2020 or September 2020, they have the opportunity to shut you down because you're going up against their, BS narrative. But, thanks to the, grace of God, let's say, October 2021, you last till October 2021, but then they shut down your clinic. What happens? I mean, what happens between you having this moment of enlightenment to late 2021?
it was the need. It was. Have you ever seen the movie Hacksaw Ridge?
Yep, totally.
So
Great film, by the way. Yeah,
it is amazing. And so I grew up Seventh-day Adventist. So
Mm-hmm.
so a friend of mine had texted me in summer of 21.
Mm-hmm.
I had gone on a ski trip in February of 21, and I got home, and that Monday, from that Monday on, I would do my my PEDS practice during the day, and I would have between 9 and 25 new COVID patients every day.
Wow.
And it from all over the country. And so we got a big whiteboard, and my front office is taking all these calls, and we had like a template to get as much information, health history, etc. And it was there were days that I would sit at my desk after work, and I would be there all night on the phone, like texting, trying to get a hold of everybody and make sure they knew what was going on. I was it was like a fire hose, just getting shot at you. And then I started getting asked to advocate for people for loved ones in the hospital. And it was actually at that point, like I had like my first phone call was in the summer of 2020 to Mayo Clinic in Rochester. And I look back, I was like, okay, there wasn't enough evidence to do some of the things that I recommended. But by 21, I had spoken to, hospitals in probably 17 different states, and every single one of them, it was like the narrative, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, holy shit, like they are indoctrinated into that CDC checklist.
Mm-hmm.
And the to the degree that they were completely unyielding, right? They have somebody that says, like, do not vent. They would literally euthanize them, right? Not just not treat. They would administer life-ending medications.
Like,
And
let me ask you something. You're a doctor, right? Okay, you're a
yeah,
doctor. This idea of like killing people, like basically, I mean, no different again than Nazi doctors, like same crap. You basically knowingly killing somebody. How do you get doctors to a point where this is part of the protocol? I mean, they had to have known what they're doing.
no.
I mean, if you, okay, sorry to interrupt you. If I'm just trying to figure this out. If I'm giving remdesivir, okay, I give remdesivir to this guy and I give him, whatever the breathing, devices, dude dies. And then I give it to the next person, dude dies. And I give it to this female over here, she dies. I mean, how many do I have to see in repetition before I realize that these few things I'm doing over and over again is resulting in death?
So things changed a little bit. So jab rollout. Again, when you've got hospital administrators, like when it's top down, and you implement, procedures or protocols, and you have whatever a huddle, and it's like this is best science that we have. They're not going home and studying up on it. It's like it's almost like, okay, thanks for the info. Like the chief, like the state's expert witness on me, when asked, what were you studying? What did you do? And she said, I was too busy to put in the study. So I relied on what we were being told by experts. And when I heard her say that, I'm like, are you shitting me? You are too busy. Like you're not too busy to be an expert witness. Write a 26-page paper and go through all of the data to crush anyone that's dissenting with the policy, but you don't have enough time to take a look at first of all, she didn't treat a freaking person at all. Like she treated 0 people. You would have thought maybe she, like when she had written in here that I had, she had come up with like 1,400 people.
Yeah.
I didn't contact any of them.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you again. Sorry, I'm just trying to dig. And by the way, I'm asking you the question because I know you're like the logical person that could actually, probably clue me into why certain things are happening. So, okay, so she's saying she's not researching and all that, but like I thought the idea of doctors is that they're constantly researching, and if you research something and you found something out, that is supposed to be of importance as much as if other groups are doing the same thing. Aren't they supposed to look at what you've done, your research, and the time that you've put in and actually lend some credence to it?
Well, not if somebody that I'll just go back. The like, especially early on, if a parent came in, they brought a child, let's say that it's fairly complex, and they say to me, well, this is what I think it is. And, this is what we'd like to do. And I'm like, awesome. Right. Like they already have I'm kind of kidding, but I was seeing like 60 people, 60 kids a day, which is insane. But so parents like, this is what we think it is. This is what we'd like to do. It's like, you know what? Yep. Let's try that. Instead of going, well, that could be it. But there's multiple other things that could be causing it. Let's like take 30 extra minutes to have a discussion on other potentials. It'd be like, yeah, we'll order that, or I'll prescribe that, and let's see what happens. So when you've got, again, administration that says, okay, here's what we're going to do, it's kind of like, okay, because the excuses are like, we're already overworked, we're already over, like bullshit excuses, like overworked, whatever, like there's no such thing as overworked when there's somebody that, I look at life as precious and should be aggressively fought for. So you can't be overworked when there's a line of people that are desperate for care.
Yeah. And I mean, doctors are trained to be overworked. I mean, what's the kind of shifts they do when they're going through, what is it called? Not interning, but residency. I mean, how many, like 70 hours or something they go?
No. Like they ended up like having to like drop it down to like 85 hours. There are times like I remember like I'd be on campus and I'd see a buddy of mine that looked like death, and he just put in like 110 hours. I'm like, oh, good Lord.
Wow. I mean, that's the whole point. That's so, I mean, just the language and stuff. All of a sudden they're overworked. I mean, you're in the army, fellas. Like, this is what it is,
Yeah.
Oh man, it's just that, it's like, again, I hear all these tones of like alpha versus beta, like weakness versus strength. You know what I mean? It's like all of a sudden doctors are supposed to be what, like coddled and stuff, when I mean, you guys are the frontline doctors. I mean, that's the way they should be looking at it, institutions and stuff, but it sounds like a lot of weak language as far as their ability to even deal with this sort of calamity,
Oh, dude, I sent a 77-year-old to the hospital on June 19th, 2021 to get imaging and lab work because I thought she was clotting, and she lived by herself, and I was like, I can't let her die at home. And her oxygen had dropped into the 80s. I had driven to my office, got an oxygen tank over to her. Anyway, so she got up the next morning, had slept great, but she had new onset like chest and back pain. I'm like, like we need to get this evaluated. So she goes into the hospital. She's on 1 liter of oxygen, setting at 98%. Everything's clear, and they convince her to stay for observation. Like, so, and when you talk about like the gas chambers, like she had everything that she needed at home. We were just making sure that, like covering my bases to make sure that we don't need to implement like more aggressive anti-clotting. And they took her from 1 liter of oxygen within 8 hours. She went from 1 liter of oxygen to 30 liters of oxygen.
Wow.
Which means that obviously she can't leave the hospital now, even though she didn't require it. And 8 days later, she's dead.
And you're telling me the doctors that were there didn't realize that they took a healthy woman and basically destroyed her?
Well, so her son from Kansas, and so every day we were on the phone with the hospitals. The ICU doctor was like, I can't change her dexamethasone to methylprednisolone, even though she was decompensating. They wouldn't put her on antibiotics, even though her white blood cell count was going up. And he just kept saying, I can't do it. I'm like, what? Like, the pulmonologist needs to do it. I'm like, what? Why? You're the intensivist. Why do you need what are you, a nurse? And I said that, like, my wife said, I'm not disrespecting, but you can make these orders. Like, you're the fucking doctor. Do something. Sorry. It's just, so we called the pulmonologist, Dr. Gupta, and 24 minutes of conversation. I recorded all of them because the insanity of it, people wouldn't believe it unless you hear the idiocy of it. But I get him to change her meds. And we're like, oh my gosh, like, thank you so much. We call back to the intensivist and he wouldn't take our call.
Wow.
And we called back, and then they're like, oh, he left for the day. So then we called the nighttime doctor, the on-call doctor. He wouldn't make the changes. The following day was a new daytime doctor, Dr. Oprescu, and he goes, well, I can't administer that medication without talking to infectious disease. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like that would be awesome. It's like, I need my friends to weigh in on this because I'm not smart enough to do something that he had done for 20 years as a no-brainer, and now he needs to talk. And they lied about. So I wrote a Facebook post the night that I found out she died, naming the doctors involved, and
like absolute scumbags, man. Absolute scumbags. All these doctors, cowardly scumbags. These are the kind of people that need to go to Nuremberg 2.0. Especially when you're hearing these stories of how they're warned, they know, and it's absolute cowardice, saving their own skin in order, like, killing somebody else to save their own skin. I mean, it's just mind-blowing. You know, people say never again about Nazi times. Bullshit. You know what I mean? It's like this. They could turn it on like this. Literally, greatest Holocaust ever in humankind, makes the Jewish Holocaust look like a walk in the park. By the time we're done with this, billions are going to be dead, in my opinion, from what I'm researching, because of cowards like these doctors. So sorry, I'm losing my cool a little bit, but it's just unbelievable what they've been able to do, you know?
What you were saying about the thin skin, the reason I shared that specific story, and I wrote that during my hearing, they read my Facebook post and then had the doctors, the intensivists, like, respond. And one of them was just, they had screenshot it and it made its rounds throughout the hospital. And they were like, we were so demoralized. Like, really?
Yeah, you're a fucking Nazi. You should be demoralized. You're no different than bloody Third Reich. You should be demoralized. Our job is to demoralize Nazis. Anyway, go ahead.
But how are they, like, it's a random, random PA in the community that writes, and like, puts out a Facebook, and it was like a warning against the hospitals. It's like, you don't, like, if you're doing what's right, you should give, like, you shouldn't even have two shits to give of what nobody is writing. Like, you should look at it and be like, and like, whatever, roll it and smoke it.
By the way, if you watch our show, there's a lot of industries that do this sort of thing. And I always talk about this. I'm just going to say it as a side. Like, family law is another one of them. Judges, lawyers, social workers hate for their corruption to be exposed, because that's one of the dirtiest businesses. It's literally a child trafficking operation. Everybody makes millions off of the destruction of child, like all of our industrial complexes, by the way. Our industrial complexes today, the medical, industrial, judicial, anything, is built
on the destruction of people. That's very easy to track. All you need to do is watch some episodes of Blood Money to see how their financial gain equals our destruction in every industrial complex, which is a sad thing to say about this country right now. But anyway, just wanted to bring that up,
Oh, what you said about CP, like Child Protective Services.
Yeah. I mean, this is child trafficking operations. Yeah.
I've been involved in some of those situations, and without knowing, like, this was, like, starting years ago where it seemed like no brainers. In fact, I was an expert witness for some of these cases, and I'm like, what are, like, like, I would go home and I would talk to my wife, and I'm like, this child is done.
They're destroyed. And this happens over, like, how do we get all these lunatics, like these Antifa lunatics? These are all fatherless homes, single mom homes. The reason why these happen is because of the courts, because of our social services. They're literally trying to destroy the fabric of the and they have. Honestly, they have. It's like, I hate to be pessimistic, but I think I don't see a bright future for this country. I mean, we betrayed so much. We betrayed our families. I see little pockets having a bright future, but I think it's about people like you and I starting our own city, starting our own communities within the fabric of what exists. It's just our industrial complexes have destroyed this country. And I frankly don't think there's much coming back from it. You know what I mean? I hate to say, but
it's like Atlas Shrugged, right? Where it's like what you're saying. It's like, and we've talked about this quite a bit, where it's, I mean, they've corrupted our food sources. They've stripped our soil of nutrients. You look at, like, the American Diabetes Association and their, like, diabetic diet, and it's like, are you just what?
Yeah.
It's like, you're supposed to be the experts, and you look at what they're telling people to eat, and it's poison.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I want to mention one thing. We're talking about spike proteins, and this is purely to help out the viewers. You were mentioning how there are ways, even if you've been vaccinated, to minimize the spike proteins, which, for the viewer, one of the issues with spike proteins is even if you were not vaccinated, there's so much shedding that you could actually get enough spike proteins to cause damage. Recently, we interviewed a doctor by the name of Dr. Newsman. He was talking about chlorine dioxide, which is something that I've actually been taking for the last couple of weeks. And all I could say is I feel great. I feel really, really good. Much better than I did 2 weeks ago. And the first day I took it, it was almost like I was having a baby. It was the worst pain of my life. I don't even want to describe what happened on that day, but all I know is the next day I felt really, really great after going through a very difficult day. And what Dr. Newsman was saying was basically that's my body essentially reacting to, decades of toxic stuff that was getting cleaned out. So I just want to mention that for the viewer, because
it's called a Herxheimer. That's called a Herxheimer reaction. Some people had it with ivermectin, because we think we live in a first world country. We don't have parasites. Yes, we do. And chlorine dioxide is called the universal antidote. And it's amazing. One of the problems, just when we look at something as a single therapeutic, the spike protein disrupts our gut biome. So it disrupts the gap junctions. So, and it disrupts, so we've got our beneficial and opportunistic microbes, and it throws that balance off. So I think, it was a Delaware town hall meeting, and Dr. Harvey Reich was on it, and he said something like the gift that we had was that Omicron was far less, like the lower respiratory issues that we saw with Delta were far less clotting. And I had recently done a talk here in the Vancouver area where I said the opposite. The thing that scares me about Omicron is it's more like a really crappy cold. And the thing with that is like so I had COVID a week and a half ago for the fourth time. My symptoms started with, like, I woke up with a hoarse voice. That was it. It was a Friday. Saturday, a little bit of ache behind the eyes, and Sunday, full blown post-nasal drainage, hocking up, like phlegm with the little blood speck sputum. I had already started on treatment. I did a rapid. I always swap out the Q-tip with my own. And, double line turned blue in like 20 seconds. I was back in the office on Monday.
Wow.
Now, and so part of it, and it wasn't a 3-day treatment. I continued doing those therapies because I want it gone and gone. Because if you don't make that, like, I want to displace the spike protein and I want to detox my body from it.
Wow.
And so one of the problems with Omicron is we have more long haulers because of Omicron than the wild, the wild type and Delta combined, because people just kind of ride it out. Like what you were talking about, like doing the chlorine dioxide. So like if people, like, it's what scares me, because I don't know that I've spoken to anybody in the last month that's doing great. Okay. But whether it's sleep, it's and the exosomal shedding that you're talking about. I got, like,
so you're saying they're not doing
like 24 milligram ivermectin tablets, right? So I take that with hydroxy, and I have lactoferrin, and I mean, like, I'm looking over at this shelf of stuff I have. I wear a GHK patch, X39. So it's if you Google GHK copper, like, have your listeners Google GHK copper. It's a peptide. There's an injectable, which is super expensive. I use a patch. It makes fibroblasts. It makes pluripotent stem cells. It's like,
wow.
So I'm super aggressive. Like, I would tell people, I would walk into the homes of the sickest people you have ever seen, and I didn't wear a mask. I didn't wear PPE. I would give them a hug, and my goal was, like, they were in fear of dying, and I'm like, I need to strip that fear away and let them know you're going to be okay. And then I would put myself on a very aggressive regimen. But, like, the biggest thing was, like, people realizing this is so treatable, like, as you know, right? Like,
when you're saying earlier, though, that nobody's really doing great, are you talking about in general people are being, like, it's just like a lot of viruses in the air and, like, just bad health, or spike proteins, or
so over the next week, talk to people, talk to friends, and then just ask about their sleep. How's your sleep? Right? Like, not like
so
good.
where is
like,
that coming from? I agree with you, by the way. All my friends are either, like, under the weather right now. They all have flu-like symptoms. Everybody's anxious. Everybody's complaining about not sleeping well. Is that, are you saying that's kind of part of what's happening environmentally, or is there a cause? Is there a direct cause for that? Or is it a combination of causes, including probably the fact that we're living through the most insane times in the last, I don't know, 500 years, maybe?
So there's that. I mean, like, the insanity of it. But here in Washington, you look, like, so, I grew up flying. I know what a vapor trail looks like, and I know what a chemtrail looks like. And you've got something that's crossing the sky and billowing out, and you've got, like, aluminum dioxide or whatever, and that's raining down on us, and our water is just shit. And and so so I run. I'm able to order labs. So I do, like, hair tissue mineral analysis, and you get these labs back. And it's, if you go to your doctor and you get a metabolic panel and a CBC, like, they're not running anything. Like, it's all going to be normal-ish. But when you do these tests, and it's not about the levels, when you look at calcium and magnesium and potassium and sodium, it's about the ratios. Zinc, copper, right? Like copper, like Google copper and viruses. Like, add copper to it, and it's like gone, right? But our zinc copper ratios are thrown off. And if you have methylation issues, so I do a lot of genetic panels. And if you're if it's overhyped in some context, the MTHFR gene, but when you look at that and our detox pathways, like, I did my labs right before COVID, and my glutathione levels, which is our body's master detoxifier, were really, really low. We realized because our home had 4 of the 5 neurotoxic molds growing in it.
Oh, wow.
And which is where you can see, like, the rash. I do systems tests. So we've been living in a yurt in tents in our backyard for the last 13 months. I went in and shaved, and when I do that, because of the toxins, I break out in this like actinomyces type of rash. And then I do systems tests to see what things will make it go away instead of 10 days of penicillin IV.
So, by the way, we did an episode with a lady by the name of Nikki Floria, who actually studies geoengineering. She's one of the top individuals that, I mean, she comes with receipts. It's not even like theories and stuff. She has patents, military patents that show clearly where this is happening, how this is happening. I think it was like Blood Money episode 61 or 62. It's definitely worth checking out because she also gives solutions. She talks about how, I mean, I've been seeing it over here. Where we're at out in the West Coast, where we've had essentially, we believe due to spraying and geoengineering, the weather's been getting really cold. And the result's been that this time of year is when you put up new crops. This is when you kind of flower new crops. But what's been happening is the weather gets so extreme at nighttime that the crops die. And it seems to be the same kind of agenda, which is to stop the growing of foods, to create food shortages. Now we're talking about them poisoning us from the air, which, to be honest with you, there was a day that it was really bad. A lot of my friends got sick. We all started taking chlorine dioxide. It helped us. But it was clearly a day where there was so much crap in there that all of us started feeling ill. And it wasn't like flu and stuff. It was full-on poisoning, So I guess I'm saying all of this to basically make the point. I mean, they're straight up trying to kill us, basically. I mean, that's what's going on at this point, right?
Absolutely.
It's almost like we've discovered their crimes against humanity. We're angry. We're ready to hang them. And these global tyrants are like, fine, we're going to kill everyone. I mean, essentially, it seems.
Well, so the way I look at it is try, right? They're going to try. Like with, so we've got 3 million people that, in fact, I think Dr. McCullough, and there are a couple of people where they asked, how many, like, had we treated, how many of those people would have died? And when, like in San Antonio, and I'm walking along this seemingly unending stream of widows and widowers, and I had to peel out, and we're along the Riverwalk, and I'm watching it, trying not to cry, because I'm calculating, and I know many of their stories, and I'm like, out of the whatever 600 people that are walking along, I'm like, maybe 3 of them.
3 of them had to die.
Not had to. 3 of them were probably had so many other underlying comorbidities, etc. And with this increased hit on their system, they had a cardiovascular event, whatever, stroke. But okay, shit, let's say 10. Like, let's go nuts and say 10. The rest of them, that was my community here that I got the phone calls. And if they were really sick, I went into their homes. I mean, listen, somebody's satting in the 60s and 70s. It's not good, right? Respiratory failure. And within an hour, they're satting in the 90s.
Yeah.
That's called science.
Yeah.
And we were able to do that for like people that ill for, I mean, I don't know, 12, 13, 1,400 people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at these people, and it's like they did, like, it's so just like, but what you're talking about, so, people getting sick, like chronic fatigue, whatever, all these things. The problem is we can take things like, even like, if you're not ridding it, like how many people talk about bowel movements. If somebody doesn't have a bowel movement a couple times a day, if they go 2 or 3 days, you're in a world of shit.
Yeah.
All this time, you need to be able to bind and then rid your body of that. And that's where the sauna comes in, the near infrared light, etc. But you're not going to hear that. Like when you go into your PCP and you've got issues, they run some labs and they're like, everything's fine. And then they go, well, you're 60, so here's a statin.
Yeah.
Like that's our healthcare system. Like, well, you're this age, so here's some meds because of your age. It's like,
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, the healthcare system. We have so many episodes about it. The conclusion with the healthcare system is it's completely broken. It's never going to be fixed. It's all pharmaceutical run. It just has to be broken up into a billion pieces because it is literally a death care system. It has nothing to do with healthcare. I mean, really, what they're doing is trying to maximize the dollars on the way to basically sending you into a coffin. That's all it is. And I got a dad that's on 35 pills, which he doesn't have to be, but that's what they brainwash him into. And, he's too old to change his ways right now. But, that 85 pills or whatever he takes every day is like, I mean, they're making thousands off of him every month,
I had somebody, an 87 and 89-year-old husband and wife. They came in with their list of meds. And this is what I always say. I'm like, listen, consult your doctor about this. And again, they already had their diagnoses. They're already being treated. I was simply augmenting, giving them options of things to do. She's off of all but one of her medications.
Wow.
Her blood pressure is better than it's ever been. Her blood sugar is stabilized. We haven't gotten an A1C again, but and they live with their son and wife. And the one thing that I heard was they're kind of pissed because she now has enough energy to be interjecting in their life much more. So it's causing where they're like, what did you do? She's like coming out and being all like trying to cook and be involved. And I'm like, we got rid of the inflammation. We got like, look at the underlying things that are causing all of these negatives. We did a detox on her and we're helping rebuild her body at 89. It's not because of her age. It's because of dis-ease.
Yeah, totally. So tell me a little bit about you obviously stood for what was right. What is the damage that was done upon your life beyond you losing your medical license? I mean, I heard, actually, I talked to a gentleman, I believe Abraxas, is that correct?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Abraxas is amazing. I mean, that dude he is so heroic.
Yeah.
So if you want to plug, so he's an artist in Delaware, and he significantly impacted because of his willingness to stand. Like I call him the Paul Revere of COVID because of what he's done. So anybody like Abraxas Hudson, whatever.com, Google him, buy his art. That guy is an American hero.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say enough nice things about Abraxas. He's actually, so we're making this series called Meet the Frontline Doctors, right? And every episode is supposed to be a doctor, just like we're doing, this episode with you. Every episode features a doctor that was a frontline doctor that stood up against the bullshit and tyranny. His story was so good that he's the only non-doctor that we've done an episode of, because he helped so many doctors. He told me about your story, actually connected us. But he told, the way he just dove into this. I mean, he pretty much started supporting doctors and really putting up a fight. And what I find fascinating is there's a few of these artist types. Scott Labadio is another one, by the way, that he's a big patriot artist. Rudy Giuliani talks about him quite a bit. And, some of these, I mean, you got all these leftist artists that are horrible, obviously, but some of these, slightly right-leaning artists are just amazing people, obviously, including Abraxas and Scott,
Well, it's not just him standing up. It's his ability to bring, I mean, he did a town halls with all, these the best minds in the country. And he's done them throughout Delaware, and what he's helped organize, because the thing is, it's what you're doing, and with interviewing these people and getting the information out. How do we win? We win by not just knowing, right? I can know stuff, you can know it. It's about being bold. It's take that truth and shout it out, and that's what he's done. And the humility with which he does it and the way he engages. I remember the first time he reached out to me and we ended up chatting for 4 hours. I'm trying to wrap my brain around somebody that has no background in medicine and simply took a stand based on our inalienable rights. And then dove into the medical aspect of it. That dude could go toe to toe with any intensivist in any hospital in the United States and kick their ass.
Amazing. It's all about these people that stood up in this, tyranny. And I mean, I don't imagine he would have ever thought back in 2019 he'd be doing what he's doing today. I don't think Scott Labadio, he's another one that just like, I don't think he'd be thinking this was my future, but it's amazing.
Well, what about you? Did you think you'd be doing this?
No. The last thing I'd ever thought I'd be doing is talking, which is insane because I had crippling shyness, crippling anxiety. I've always been behind the camera. I've had quite a successful career as a TV producer. I mean, I've done 25 years of production at a very high level behind the camera, but being in front of the camera, really, 2020 was really what got me started. And frankly, seeing a lot of the bullshit as a producer, I worked in editing rooms. I saw all the editing tricks that they were doing to make Donald Trump look bad. I saw the agenda. That started really disgusting me back in 2017, where I had, these colleagues that they know the editing tricks. I mean, they do it all the time. A lot of this stuff is called Frankenbiting, where for like Frankenstein, where you take two pieces, you bite them together to create the false message, which is exactly what happens in reality TV shows. But then you have like CNN hiring a reality TV show producer, Jeff Zucker, who is a really bad reality TV show producer, to run the news. And you kind of see their agenda happening, especially if you're in the know, especially if you're an insider. And frankly, that started to disgust the crap out of me. I mean, it was just, no money is worth that. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it to be deceptive for as a life choice to be deceptive. I mean, it just can't do it, unfortunately,
But listen, whatever is good, whatever is pure. I mean, it's like, how do you, it's like you get up and it's like, for me, it's like, okay, Lord, like what, how can I be used as a vessel to bring healing and whatever? Like that's like, I'm very fallible. I swear a lot, whatever. But it's because if I didn't swear, I would just break shit. Because
me too. That's why, I mean, I'm like, it's better. I mean, it's like, I'm actually, by swearing, doing this kind of stuff, I get a lot of aggression out. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't get into fights. I don't get into arguments. It all comes out here,
No, it's like, people are like, why do you have to swear? And it's like, if you knew the bad that I've heard, seen, and tried to undo, and the failure in some of the cases, like, I want to burn it down. Like, all those fucking institutions that these people are going into, and they're either, I mean, like, you shouldn't walk in. So my father-in-law walked into a hospital in Texas a year ago, 3 days ago, and he's practiced medicine for 55 years. He just did a three-day round at an ER in like West Texas, had gone on a hike, and 4 days later, he goes in and sees his cardiologist, et cetera. And he wakes up the next morning and he cannot walk across the living room.
Wow.
And he called Shelly, called my wife, and he was like, yeah, I'm not feeling so good. And he was going to go to the hospital. And then, anyways, they're like, you'll be fine. And we talked to him that evening, and he was slurring his speech. And so Shelly called friend, like a husband and wife, or a nurse practitioner. They went over and they were like, oh my gosh, he does not look good. They take him to the hospital. They run everything. They did the MRI. They did a spinal tap. They're ruling out stroke. And I asked Maya, I was like, when did you get your booster? Because he's been Pfizer twice and boosted.
Oh, wow.
And it was like 10 weeks prior to that. And then he had just done, like I said, a 3-day pretty aggressive hike up a mountain. And I'm like, he just activated, and this isn't how it works, but it's like, just like that increase in activity. It's like, it's like he just, so we called the hospital, we talked to the doc, and he's like, everything's normal. And it's like, well, that's impossible.
Yeah.
What you ran is normal. And I'm like, dude, I think I actually said, dude, took the booster like in February, and this is a reaction to the booster. It's like the perfect time frame, if you will. Like, you've got to run VEGF, you've got to run Tregs, you've got to run NMP9. Like, this is endothelial damage. It's not going to be, you're not going to see an elevated D dimer, but like things are not flowing right. And then the next day, his oxygen drops down to like 80, 81. They have him on albuterol and ipratropium bromide, which doesn't do jack shit for this type of thing. So I drove to my office, grabbed a bunch of stuff, filled a suitcase. I make up mixtures of things for nebulizing. My wife flew out there, walked into the hospital at 2 p.m. on a Friday, and Monday afternoon, he walked out of the hospital, and they have no idea
what happened.
They have no idea. She brought in smoothies with 30 different things twice a day, did continuous nebbing on him. And within 24 hours, he sat up, swung his legs out, and asked for his medical journals. And before she got there, I was talking to him, and he couldn't even say Rocephin.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing.
So bad. And
amazing.
He said, Scott, I thought I was going to die in the hospital. I said, Mike, you were going to die in the hospital. They were putting you on hospice before Shelley got there.
Wow. Wow. And
he didn't have COVID. He didn't have COVID, but his care was as shitty as somebody with COVID. So the question is this new that our hospitals now suck? That the care is subpar, or has this been going on all along?
No. I mean, I could tell you, just because I've had, family members with health issues, that it's really clear that healthcare is awful, that they don't really figure stuff out. And I know this because I've had family members who've had heart problems. I mean, they're literally having a heart attack in the hospital, but the machines that are supposed to be detecting the heart attacks are not detecting it, right? And then I talk to other kinds of doctors that use alternative methods, that talk about these blood tests where you're looking for markers and other things for preventative care. And, that starts to make sense to me, right? That starts to make sense to me. But somebody getting a test done that determines whether your heart's healthy while you're having a heart attack and it doesn't register, to me tells me that the test doesn't work. Just like some, there's been stories about these, PCR tests not working. It seems like not a lot works. I mean, and it seems like that's the intent, because I guess that's how you make more money.
Or it works in their favor, right? Like,
in their favor, yeah. Doesn't work. It works to make money, but doesn't work to basically repair your health.
Well, pick anything that's prescribed that is. I don't like the word curative, right? But that isn't a Band-Aid. Right?
Yeah.
If you've got elevated cholesterol and elevated blood pressure and pre-diabetes or diabetes, so you now have 6+ meds and not a damn one of them is helping heal.
Crazy. It's crazy. So, I know the viewer at this point has seen enough of you. We've been talking about you for like an hour and 15 minutes. They've seen enough of you to know that you are an honest doctor. You are somebody that really just wants to help people. Like, you know what I mean? And that's why we do these interviews, because you really get a feel for people. If you're a bad person trying to trick me into taking medications for nefarious purposes, I don't think I would get the sense from you. I get the sense that you are a great individual. What happens to you because you decided to do the right thing here? I mean, Abraxas was telling me that you went through like hell, like especially this last year since the practice was closed down. I mean, could you tell us a little bit about this journey you've been through the last year or so?
Well, so I had just we had a county health, there's like a county health initiative where a couple of us to introduce 2 naturopaths, and I was like keynoting it, and it was about the hospital protocols and do like power of attorney, like because I have sent people to the hospital, but it's about like because I don't want them to die at home, but how to get them out. And I ended up getting COVID a day and a half later. So I stayed home, and my wife got it. And we did the Regeneron, did the IVs, and we were better in a day. And I show up at my office to a packet of like this thick packet. And I open it up, and it was the summary, emergency suspension of my license. In fact, we were talking about this weekend where it was either the AG or assistant AG, where they had said I was the most dangerous man in Washington, and I'm like AG.
So let me ask you. Sorry to interrupt you. As the most dangerous man in Washington, could you tell me how many lives, like the number of lives you feel as though you've saved from, either dying through bad protocols or wrong protocols for COVID? Do you have an approximate number of that?
I can tell you that I directly treated over 3,000 people.
How many of them survived?
I lost, now mind you, like Rosemary, who I sent to the hospital for imaging.
Mm-hmm.
Just for my soul's sake, I don't consider, like,
yeah, she wasn't your fault.
Consider it
they
a
pretty
loss,
much tricked her.
but not because of not
because
of the science. It was our inability to help her. 5.
Wow. So you basically saved almost 3,000 people minus 5.
I mean, we were able to help a lot of people.
Wow. Okay. So, and you are the most dangerous man after. I mean, you have a bigger save list than Schindler, and you're the most dangerous man over there.
Which I love that, because I'm like, that's like, I like, when I heard that, I was like, that's awesome, because like I drive to work, I took care of kids, and then help sick people. And I was like, yes,
Mm-hmm.
I am. Like, don't confront me with my skills with knowledge. Like, really? The freak. So I show up at my office, and I have like 5 volunteer nurses that had lost their jobs. Every room is filled. I had a nurse prac student that I was a preceptor for, and
Mm-hmm.
I open it up, and I'm like, uh-oh. Like, this is, and it was from 2 days ago. I just hadn't been there. So it's like everything that we've done is like,
wow.
Like, oh shit. Except I had set up a portal for monoclonals. And we had already gotten our first round of Regeneron, and that's why we had so the nurses we had it sectioned off, and they were doing monoclonals. So I got a friend of mine to sign standing orders so that the nurses could legally work under them, and I would just use my facility. And wow, from October to February, we were able to provide care for 500 plus people that were,
wow.
I mean, like, when I say acutely ill, I mean, it was what those nurses did. I simply was administrative, and I did consulting. What they did was Herculean to save their lives. It was one of the most beautiful, scary. It was effed up for all intent and purposes, because like, people were driving from 3-4 hours away because they could not get care anywhere. So we'd be there till midnight, 1-2 in the morning. It was like, whenever you get here. So we would stay there all night, making sure that they got care. And we did that through February, when a complaint came in that
February 2021, we're saying, or 22. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So from October 15th.
So I mean, at this point, you're not taking no for an answer. You're like, the hell with this. I'm saving lives. You look for every avenue to save lives, but then they're still coming after you.
Yeah. My attitude on it was, I will abide by the letter of the law, and then fuck you.
Yeah. Exactly.
That was my attitude.
That's what I say. Actually, that's usually how my sentences end as well. So,
yeah. The problem is, their FU back is way worse than my just gesture of screw you. And so there was a complaint that said Miller's followers are driving around the back of his clinic and getting monoclonals. And I like this is a they got whistleblower protection for this. It was my neighbor. My neighbor told me that they were gonna, and then this person said, and I have proof of the tests. We weren't running. There were no tests. It was just sick people getting. And that they were coming in, and that they talked to their doctor at Vancouver Clinic, who said, well, there's a shortage of monoclonals, so it either had to be counterfeit or black market. Oh, by the way, his wife is a nurse. She should be investigated too.
Wow.
That was so basically they took gossip. That complaint went in at 11:16 a.m. and was turned into an investigation at 11:28 a.m. That's the amount of time they looked at the veracity of that and decided to not just run an investigation and later letters of cooperation on me. They went after my wife.
Yeah. Which is very interesting, by the way, investigation-wise, because we keep hearing stories about how, people have the most horrible crimes committed against them, and they're not investigated by these authorities that are supposed to investigate these things. So it's really funny how real serious crimes are not investigated for political purpose, political expediency, corruption, whatever. But nonetheless, you're saving lives. I mean, you got a pretty high body count as far as the numbers you've saved. They should honor you. They should have parades. They should name streets after you. Really,
or
not investigate you.
Just I considered it. If a child comes in with an ear infection or whatever, it's just, and I help. I am my involvement in the process of fixing it or healing it. Right, I looked at it where I was just doing my job. Right? It was somebody. So there were two questions that that would be posed. It's can you help? Which the answer is yes, and then it's will you help? So if you can, then holy shit! What's the bar? What's barring me from will you? And if it's fear, because it's not ability. So the only thing that would bar me from helping somebody would be fear of outcome. And it's I am way more afraid of in fact I've journaled from March of 2020 on, and I recorded, even I told my wife, I'm like, hey, I'm going to record this conversation. I would just tell her it because I knew it was going to get contentious because she was so scared. And she's like, Scott, why won't you comply? Just wear a mask in the office or have your, and I'm like, no. And she's like, well, what happens if they start fining you? I'm like, I don't know, but I will not do it. I refuse to wear a lie. I refuse to live a lie. I never put this on ever throughout the entirety of it. I didn't fly with one. And they're like, how did you get away with it? I'm like, I don't know. But it was freaking brutal. We had this conversation this morning where people were at the convention, I don't know how you guys are still married. I'm like, Shelly is she's literally the best human being I have ever met.
Wow. Good for you, man. You good. I mean, because you've been through hell. It's I could imagine if you had a shitty wife that was ready to throw you under the bus. I mean, that would have been hell to the power of 20. But just having a good woman there, man.
Not good.
I mean, at least you got that covered.
She wasn't
great.
She
sounds great.
Best human being. I know people say it, but if you knew the constancy of attacks, and on our family, they had go bags to we had somebody that had reached out, and we met with him, and he said, listen, I have a jet. He's very wealthy. He's like, I have a jet. You call me if you need to get out quickly. I don't know that I'm that dangerous, but for her, it was I mean, there are websites that were dedicated to, it's I mean, it's comical, but it's we hope you all die, and we'll find out where you're buried so we can come shit on your grave. And I was like, Like
And by the way, irony of that, could I really quickly point out the irony? Because we were talking about this yesterday. All these people are going to die. That's the irony. These people that wish death upon us, that we fought so hard to save them. We didn't do this because we wanted to be outliers and get freaking attacked. It would have been very nice to go along with this narrative. But people like you and I decided, you know what? We're going to save lives. We're going to stand by what is righteous. And we were attacked. And man, you were attacked a lot more than most people I know. But we've all been attacked.
Yeah.
And we've all paid a price. And I was just speaking a few days ago out of frustration to some friends, and it just occurred to me that these people all took the death jab, and they're the ones wishing death upon us. I mean, there's a sadistic irony in all of that. I do not enjoy that irony by any means, but there is an irony, and there is a little bit of the wrath of God. You know what I mean? If I read the story 1,000 years from now, this is biblical proportions, wrath of God type stuff against the people that chose to be ignorant, mean, callous, not their brother's keeper. So anyway.
Well, my response was, listen, that's not going to happen anytime soon. And if you ever get sick, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll still help you, which I'm pretty sure inflamed them because, it's
killing them with kindness. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you can't fight it. Like, hey, that's mean. Like, hey, a-hole. It's like, hey, brother, listen, that's cool. Still love you. Get more creative though. Like, be a little more creative with your attacks. Like that's fairly pedestrian. But no, it's you've mentioned this, and I need to do some deep dives, and especially what you were on episode 60 and 61 and 62. But whether it's post-COVID or exosomal shedding or people that have gotten the shots, there's, even with the gene modification aspect of it, there are, or I should say, as a non-expert now lay person, there are still ways to undo a lot of it. Not necessarily all of it, but it's like if you can undo certain things and then arrest the further damage that it's causing, it's just yet another thing that's, I mean, with probably the communities with which we run and the knowledge we have, where it's like, you've got a lot of the information, but people don't have it, or it's so vast that they don't even know where to start.
Yeah. One of the things for the viewers that I highly want to recommend, I'm going to give two websites. Both of them are websites that we have a big hand in. One of them is medicalfreedom.org. It's not launched today, but I have a feeling by the time this episode comes out, we're going to be really close to the launch. It's scheduled to launch sometime early April. I think April 10th is the date that we're looking at. And there's going to be tons of information there, including interviews with doctors about topics like, if you've been jabbed, what are the things you could do?
Interestingly, like with the black pepper extract, the phytonutrients, blueberry, like organic blueberries, the apple pectin, or like the whites or the skins that obviously needs to be organic of some of the citrus fruits are amazing. Anyone that has, so if you've gotten the shot, you will have myocarditis. Just it can't not happen because of how S1 binds to the ACE receptors in the heart. So something I strongly recommend, not medical advice, but to look into it. Carnosine, L-carnosine. It's a dipeptide, and it is. I wear a carnosine like through our website. I love like the near infrared light science, and so you have patches of different peptides like GHK and carnosine and glutathione. But for whether you get the supplement, etc., carnosine binds to heavy metals in the brain, so it's able to chelate without the negatives of chelation therapy, where you're binding to all of those minerals and depleting the body, where you have to replace it. But I would recommend people look into like L-carnosine.
So L-carnosine, and then what was the other one?
GHK.
GHK, okay.
The glycyl L-histidyl L-lysine, and it
Mhm.
binds with copper, and it actually makes, so it's like the PubMed and NIH actually have a ton of information on this, like as an
Mhm.
anti-cancer. COPD, that's what I was talking to Abraxas about. I was like, dude,
Mhm.
like I've literally, like, people that have had COPD, and I've had them nebulize acetylcysteine, like MAC, but the liquid version of it,
Mhm.
and do it GHK, and days, I mean, 3 or 4 days later, and you're talking with the chlorine dioxide, right? And they're like, "Oh my gosh," like,
Yeah, yeah.
like my
And
activity fatigue.
the crazy thing is they try to keep all this from us. That's
I
sorry to
know.
interrupt you. It's like all the good stuff. It's like the doctor that's recommending chlorine dioxide has the Fed show up to his door. I mean, they really want us dead very badly. I don't know.
So yes, and it sounds insane, right? But it's like when you put all of it together, like you look at what we're allowed, like what they're allowed to put in our food
Yeah.
or on our crops, like 5 billion tons of glyphosate
Mhm.
sprayed on our crops every year, or they spray it on crops to keep it from, like, to help dry it out. And it's like that's insane.
Yeah.
Yet we're like, okay, baby formula.
Mhm.
Like, look at what they put. Like, why do they put high fructose corn syrup in baby formula?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah, I know. Your body can't even.
insane.
I mean, it's such an obvious thing. Your body can't even digest it properly, and they put it in there. It's like doesn't make sense.
No, yeah,
I mean, and for anybody being like, oh, like this is all like a mistake, a comedy of errors. I mean, come on, come on. It's like when you look at all the evidence, it's very obvious they could give a rat's ass about our health. So what happens is we have to be independent. We have to do our own research. Don't listen to what they're telling us. What they're telling us is what they want to sell us, not what's good for you. Very big difference,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where that we talked about, like, just locally,
Hmm.
having a third lane of medicine, because you can't.
Yeah.
Sad to say, but you can't. When like if you polled, um, the not because of my misinformation or disinformation, but simply their experiences going to
Hmm.
the hospital. If you polled, 1,000 people and you said, "Would you go to the hospital?" and they'd
Hmm.
be like, unless it's like a car crash or whatever, they would
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
everything they could
Yeah.
to avoid the care in the
Yeah.
hospital. And people are desperate for that third lane of medicine where we're
Big
able
time,
to
big time.
actually
Nobody
heal.
wants to go to the hospital. Nobody wants to go to the DMV. Those two places, nobody wants to go to because they suck. They suck, and they're both government institutions. And like all government institutions, they're run very badly. And
Yeah,
you
but why
know,
is it that the hospital is more dangerous than prison? Why is it that that people that have gone into, that have put in the COVID ward, are zip tied
mhm.
to their beds and restrained? I was talking to a woman a couple days ago where she was in a room next to her husband, and they locked the doors so that they could not, like, engage, right? So they both have COVID. Like, if
Mhm.
they were in a room with a curtain, but they were in rooms, they locked the doors from the
Mhm.
outside in the
Yeah,
hospital. What
yeah.
the shit is that?
I mean, think about it. It's like you're in this industry where you're like one out of very few that decided to actually do your job and save lives. You're one out of very few. I mean, 99 out of 100 didn't do it. 1 out of 100 did. So that's really bad odds for the righteous. You know what I mean? It's like that answers a lot of questions. So it's like, do people do they take on authoritarian characteristics when they're power hungry, when they get certain powers? I mean, I hate to say it. It's like, look at what happened on the airlines. People are given a certain amount of power. They turn into these Nazi overlords. It's like, it's sad. The human nature and what they do once given a little bit of power is actually kind of disgusting.
Well, it's when people of mediocre character
Mhm.
are given power, you have tyranny.
Exactly.
My son's 10th birthday, we flew to Legoland, and when we landed the police
Mhm.
were waiting for us.
Wow. For
I
what?
shit you not.
For what?
Um,
Because they knew Scott Miller, the medical terrorist, was coming, the guy that's trying to save lives.
So when I said I've never worn a mask, I wore like I had a neck gaiter that I would sort of put up. My son was sitting next to me, and I just said, Cohen, just eat the entire time. And this stewardess, whatever, flight attendant, kept coming by, and they're like, he needs to pull it up. He needs to pull it up. And I'm like, well, he's eating. Well, he needs to pull it up while he's chewing. So I finally said, he has a mask exemption, and he tested negative this morning. And she's like, well, and she's like, well, if it happens again, or he's old enough. So finally, she comes by and hands me a yellow card. And I was like, I've never seen a yellow card, but I was like, okay, we're like 20 minutes from landing, right? So I'm like, all right, we can hold our shit together, to avoid the red card.
Oh, God almighty. I can't believe this, dude.
What the yellow card is we are banned from Alaska Airlines. Like our return flight gone. And my wife, who's, Texan, Southern gal, like bless your heart, kind of low key, unloads on this flight attendant, which was beautiful. I was just like, oh, look at her, mama bear. So we land, and so they have the police waiting, and we deplane, and she sees the police, and she in front of our kids. Are you fucking kidding me? Really? And I was just like, I just wanted to hug her. I just wanted to, but yeah, like, and I'm like,
our police, by the way, I don't know if you know what's happening in which country, France. The police are actually standing with the people, and I wonder when that time is going to come, when these police are going to be like, you know what? No, we're standing with the people.
It's happening. There are areas that it's happening. It is. I've seen it. I have a friend who's a captain in LAPD, and bless his heart for his aggressive pushback. But I'll tell you, it's scary.
It is. I mean, we've interviewed cops, and some of them are ready to be like full on Gestapo, and you tell them, they tell you, oh, I know it's all wrong, but it's a paycheck. I mean, come on, you know what I mean? It's like,
well, that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
It's like the doctors, the nurses, the PAs, the NPs, the NDs. Like if it's a paycheck,
then you're a prostitute, basically. I mean, again, if you're a paycheck and you're like killing people, if you're a paycheck and whatever, you go and you're just surviving, cool, not hurting anybody. But when your paycheck involves hurting people, you're a prostitute. Done. End of the story.
Never thought of that. That's a very good analogy to that. I like that because it's you're wow.
Yeah, 65 podcasts talking about horrendous shit. You come up with a couple of things here and there, right?
I need to have a shirt that says that. If you don't believe in freedom, you're a paid prostitute.
You're exactly. This is amazing, by the way, Scott. I know we're gonna do other episodes with you because I could already tell, like, we got we still got a lot of fuel in the can over here with the this your story and stuff. But just because I got to keep these under 2 hours, I was going to ask you, is there anything in particular for this episode that we didn't talk about? Websites, any GoFundMe? Hopefully you're not using GoFundMe. You're using the other Christian one. But, any other things you want to talk about, say anything we didn't forget to mention that you think it's important for the viewer to know?
So when you ask, this question has come up so many times. Where is everybody else? When you said 1 in 100, it's more like 1 in 1,000, possibly 1 in 10,000. When you talk about MDs, NDs, DOs, PAs, NPs, etc., you've got several million in the United States, and you have less than 1,000 across the United States that have chosen. Less than that, like you probably got that where it's like hush hush, where they'll do it. But in terms of speaking out, the like for me, I didn't lose my job. I had a had I like sold my practice, I could have sold it for several $1,000,000. So I didn't lose my job. I lost everything that we had sacrificed to build.
Mhm.
Like so it's and then you've got like then you have the legal aspect where like they suspended my license in October of 21, and I've had over 40 complaints lodged on me after the loss of my license. Right? Like what? Like ease up, bitches. Like really? Like you already. But and some of them are fun. Like I like engaging. It's creative. I've been more sarcastic with my letters of cooperation.
By the way,
But
Scott, like this is what they're trying to do is they're trying to literally destroy you. We've interviewed enough doctors, Dr. Chris Shoemaker, one of the most noble individuals I've ever spoken with. Very clear. They want to make you homeless. They want to destroy your life. This is their agenda. And I think we have to be really honest and clear about that agenda, because this is like if you're not a sheep, we will destroy you. If we allowed people like you to be destroyed, we are destroyed. We are destroyed. Our kids, might as well just hand them to this death machine. There is no future if we allow people like you to be destroyed, because we're the last house on the block. That's it. It's like that 1 out of 10,000 that exists. And frankly, I like those odds because I believe in people like you and I believe in people like me, because we are much more than one person inside. And we, the only people that are that inside know what that means. You know what I mean? We are little armies inside. That's what makes us strong enough to be the 1 out of 10,000. So, it's they're trying to destroy us. And you know what? I don't know. I think I'm optimistic, to be honest with you.
I am too. But so when you say that, like going back to seriously, Ridge, what's the movie?
Heartbreak Ridge. Is it Heartbreak Ridge or?
No, it's seriously
Ridge, something Ridge. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. With the guy that doesn't want to partake in violence. Mel Gibson movie. Not Heartbreak Ridge or.
Seriously?
Google.
I literally just wrote. I wrote about it because it was so. Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge. Guys, everybody's got to watch that movie. Seriously.
It's amazing.
Wow.
And he's on the ridge. You've got like 100+ feet of rope, to get up there, and the entire platoon has gone down, and his friend is dying in his arms, and the naval assault on the ridge, and his friend dies, and he's like, God, I can't hear you. And it's like this schism where he's broken, and all of a sudden, with like the tumult behind him, he hears medic, and he puts his helmet on and he stands up, and all you see is just like the black behind him from the artillery, and he runs straight into it. And Shelly was sitting there, and we're watching it. And I start crying, and she looked at me, and she was like, this has been your life for like 15 months at that point. And it's like, and he kept coming out, and he was like at his very limit, and he would say, okay, God, just one more, like, give me the strength, just one more. And so what you're saying, it's like there's like, I think about like the limited capacity of what I was able to do as just like a regular dude, but man, I can't tell you, there were days where I was going on 60, 65 plus hours without closing my eyes, and I would get a text, and I'm reading, and these aren't like, hey, be there in 5 minutes. It's like this. I just look at it, I'm like, holy shit. And it's like, please call. In fact, I bought a new phone because my daughter named my phone. So I finally gave up Deborah. Here's Deborah. There's 743 unread texts on it that I will not open because I'm afraid of what I missed, because when I missed calls, then bad things happen.
It's
But
fun. I was gonna say it's funny. It's actually not funny. Thomas Renz said the exact same thing. He used to get these calls, and he'd be like, "I knew the calls that I missed were people dying, and the pain in this man's face." And he's just like, "There wasn't enough hours in the day, you know."
nope.
Yeah.
I talked
And
to him about
this is
that.
the 1 out of 10,000. And imagine if the other 10,000 weren't such cowards. So it didn't have to be 1 out of 10,000 carrying that burden, I hope God appreciates it. I really do. I hope God appreciates these angels, these heroes that did this to themselves. I mean, literally gave ourselves PTSD in order to help the world,
He's the one
and
that's,
get attacked for it,
he's the one that's giving us the strength and courage to do it.
Yep.
Right? He calls people. Right? It's just who answers it, and that's the thing. I look at it as, I mean, there's a high level of suck, but I look at it. I mean, there's no part of any aspect of what I have been through, my family has been through, that I would wish on anybody. But
you wouldn't change it. You wouldn't change it.
I wouldn't go back and do it over. I would, knowing what I know now, I would be afraid if somebody said, "Would you do it again?" I'd be like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like it was way easier to be in ignorance of how bad it was going to be,
Mm-hmm.
and then like just furiously tread water to keep your nose, above that. So but it caused us to, like, you get to a point where you're fully reliant on God just to live, like just for us to like eat. It's humbling, and I'm grateful that he tried. It's like thank you, thank you for trusting me to be a servant. It's cool. Like it's like I can write somebody can write some seriously cool shit on my gravestone.
Yeah.
But you had asked, so the reason I brought some of that stuff up, so we have we have millerwellness.net, and I actually had this conversation yesterday with somebody so we have our supplement store, the full script, and what I had said to a couple of people, it's like Amazon took NAC off. Like Amazon did everything they could to remove things that are vital for our health. And every other store forced people to wear masks if they're going to go in there to get supplements. So, so the crappy business side of me, it's usually more about what can I do for somebody else. It would be buy your supplements through us, or unless you're connected with something else. But if you're buying vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc, NAC, etc., it's cheaper through us, and they're products that are vetted by me. And then we have a Give Send Go.
What's the website, by the way? That's millerwellness.org, you said? .net. Okay, cool. Everybody check out Miller. We'll put that on the bottom too. Millerwellness.net.
And I have something called the Daily Rant, or $1 a day, where people, because I look at my phone and it's like, hey, quick question. It's not a quick question, by the way. It's usually fairly complex. But I do videos on them. Like I had somebody on Saturday, it was like, what do I do about my elevated A1C, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, well, oh, that'd be a good one to do a video on. So people can ask questions. I do videos and put it up there for everybody to be able to see. And I have on the $1 a day, I have access to on the full scripts, I have protocols. Because that's another thing, like people have, I mean, you name it, digestive issues, sleep issues, anxiety, depression, etc. What you were talking about with, with the supplements, the adaptogens you're taking, people don't realize, like most, if not all of the meds that are used are sourced from natural products.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, well, we don't have enough studies or enough data.
Mm-hmm.
I
You created a synthetic version of the natural thing, hence logic would have it. Yeah.
well, I have somebody that just came in and I had given some fairly high dose B vitamin supplements, and from a mood standpoint, like
Mm-hmm.
30 minutes, like where they're like mind blown. It's like if you were hungry, right? If you were starving, I brought you a big plate of food and you ate it, and I came back like 20 minutes later with another big plate of food, and you're like, no, I'm safe, I'm full. I wouldn't
Yeah.
be like, what?
Yeah.
That's weird. You'd be like, well, of course. You got the things that you needed. Signals were sent off, like you don't eat till you vomit.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, and you didn't take a pharmaceutical to achieve that.
Yeah.
Yet, pick whatever it is, like diabetic
Mhm.
neuropathies or sleep disruption. I don't care what it is. When you look at and because like you've got the neurologist and the pulmonologist and the cardiologist and the gastroenterologist, and if you ask a gastroenterologist about mood, they'd be like,
Mm.
gastroenterologist is like, well, the gut biome,
Yeah. Yeah.
gut
Yeah.
brain axis is very intimately intertwined. So why would you have to, like, as a specialist, there's no one higher than the
Mm-hmm.
gastroenterologist. Why are you having to send them to a neurologist when you should understand
Mm.
our gut, our biomes interaction and very intimate relationship with hormones and mood regulating
Mm-hmm.
neurochemicals?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But they don't know shit. I mean, they're super smart. Like if somebody shot me in the stomach, I would go see them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But outside of that, they're all they can do is say, take some
It's like
lansoprazole.
they haven't even the fact that somebody that deals with the gut doesn't even deal with those particular issues just is like your foundation is not on right there.
No,
Yeah.
or like so I said it with my skin, right, where I chose to
Mm-hmm.
shave, knowing that this was, and I call them systems tests because I'm like checking out different natural things to see if it will mitigate it, and I don't enjoy it because I usually go through a couple days of painful
Mm-hmm.
pain, but I'm able to add like one or two new things that I know. It's like just again, I'm not doing any scientific research on it, but if I can take
Mm-hmm.
that anecdotal
Mm-hmm.
information and share it and be like, hey, try this. Like, don't go buy it. Like, I'll just like take some samples and try it and see how it works. And it's like a couple days later, they're like, holy cow, that was amazing. I'm like,
Yeah.
write that down. Like, chalk that up. It's not science, just another tool in the toolbox.
Yep. Totally. Scott, I do have to wrap this episode up because otherwise they won't let us air it if I let it get over 2 hours. But this is awesome. I mean, testament to it being awesome is it's one of our longest episodes, and it was actually quite entertaining. And it feels like there's at least one more episode worth, talking about in the near future. So thank you so much, Scott, for coming down to both the Blood Money podcast and Meet the Frontline Doctors, which we're shooting this for dual purposes. This was pretty awesome, man. This was really awesome getting to know you.
Vem, when I saw Abraxas, like that interaction, I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like not initially knowing him, like if this guy, you is
Mm-hmm.
legit, and I looked into it, I'm like, wow. And then so similarly, you like if we had 1,000 more of you,
Mm-hmm.
the veil of that's been dropped on all of America could be lifted if people had your courage and willingness to speak out. Like what you're doing is freaking heroic. It's badass. So thank you for doing it. It's so critical to the mission of like how do we save our country, and it's people like you that are like it's you that are willing to do this and take the time and in just that self-investment in finding the truth and being compelled to get it out. Like, this is amazing.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And honestly, man, what you're doing, I mean, it is the most integral thing what you're doing. And you went right into the belly of the beast there. And like you said, you know, those other 9,999 didn't stand with the courage you stood. And I respect you so much, man. I really like you. You're a hero for doing what you did. I know things are shitty right now. Things are going to become better. God has a plan. We're all dealing with this nonsense, threats, and like just ugliness. But you know, the other option is not a tenable option. I mean, what, we're going to go down the road of a Holocaust as Christians, like murdering people, shutting our eyes? I mean, that's really not an option for those who believe, you know? So thank you.
I was watching Inglourious Bastards on my flight home, and like this farmer like gave up, you know, the position of the Jewish family that he was hiding. And you could see it in his face, right? Like the fear of what could happen to him versus, you know, like self-preservation over giving innocent lives over to destruction.
Yeah.
And I was watching, it was like, and it's like, there's like a family sitting next to me. And I'm like, just be a normal dude for once. And like, don't watch something and tear up, you know,
Yeah.
As my wife would say, like, Scott, go out into the world and be normal. And I was like, but I was thinking about it, like that question has been asked. Like we ask it, like in ethics class, it said, like, who would you be during that time in the Holocaust? Would you be the person that watches your neighbor be drug out into the street, or turn your neighbor in, or would you be the person that would shield them from tyranny and death? And almost ubiquitously, everyone says, "Oh, like I would never do that." And we just watched, like we've been a part of this, you know, transhumanism movement, and watched what people were willing to give up to maintain a level of what I would consider like a new level of comfort, or to not have to engage in what a conversation and argument. Like, we're fucked if we don't flip that switch and get all these people that they're like, I would never let that happen again. First of all, it should have never happened in the first place, but holy crap, you like we will never let it happen again. We need, like, I don't know, 30, 40 million of those people that that and say it, to put their actions where their mouths are, and stand up for just, we've got an army of God-fearing truth, the people that are in the light and in the truth. It's like we need that switch flipped so that we just stand up in mass to protect our sovereignty.
Yep. Scott, right. This is awesome. We got like 10 seconds left before we hit the 2-hour mark, so I'm gonna have to wrap it up here. Thank you so much to the viewers for showing up to this Blood Money episode, which is actually doubling up for a Meet the Frontline Doctors episode, which we're producing for medicalfreedom.org. I will see you on the next episode. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great night. Thank you.